you, Ed, and thanks to all of you for coming out right after lunch to hear me read for a bit. In my workshop on voice, I was talking to my students about keeping voice fresh, and how, for me, a major moment in my own life as a writer was moving from academic prose to literary prose, but how it's increasingly difficult for me not to be bored with my own voice. So for that reason, I won't be reading from any of the books that I've published that Ed mentioned, Keep It Fake, Against Happiness, Everyone Was a Good Train Wreck. I have a novel coming out in March called Polaris Ghost from a press out in San Francisco called Outpost 19. I'm just going to read a little bit from that. It's a hybrid work, actually. There's some fiction there, prose poetry, and even straight-up essays. And one of the characters in the novel is horrified of real affection. He's in a bad marriage, and instead of addressing his marriage head-on, he spends all of his time writing escapist prose poems about pop culture. And one of them is called Oddity, and that is what I will now read to you. Elvis was born 35 minutes after his stillborn twin, Jesse. When Elvis was a baby, or tornado killing 200 only missed him by half a mile. Via The Wizard of Oz, David Lynch linked the cyclone and Elvis in his film Wild at Heart, which starred Nicolas Cage, who married Elvis's daughter, Lisa Marie, with whom he quarreled on his yacht. She tossed her $65,000 engagement ring into the Pacific. Unlike other children of celebrity, like Brando's daughter Cheyenne, for instance, she hung herself. Lisa Marie avoided her dad's depression, which he shared with his very distant cousin, Abraham Lincoln, along with somnambulism, an impoverished Southern upbringing, and the premature death of a beloved mother. Elvis really is related to Abraham Lincoln, many parts removed. White snake root killed Lincoln's mother, Nancy. Elvis purchased 2 electric mixers for his mother, Gladys, one for each side of the kitchen. King and president descended from Isaiah Harrison, born in England in 1666. Did Elvis and Lincoln inherit their depressive genes from him? Manic depression has poisoned the Wilson line. Half-broke fanatics and alcoholics wandering the grim Appalachians. Self-hatred harries me as it did Elvis. Love me, the scorch of his songs. Elvis romanced Natalie Wood, who drowned under suspicious circumstances involving her husband. Her daughter Natasha played in Lynch's Lost Highway. If Elvis had starred in the movie of West Side Story, as planned, he and Wood, who did star, might have married, and Wood might still be alive. Rita Moreno, Wood's co-star, dated Elvis to make Marlon Brando, whose infidelity turned her suicidal, jealous. I am the Marlon Brando of DVD, David Lynch once admitted. David Bowie plays FBI agent Jeffries in Twin Peaks, Firewalk with Me. Thought dead, he staggers into headquarters and announces, in a southern drawl not reminiscent of Elvis, that he will not talk about Judy. Bowie and Elvis were both born on January 8th. Both released albums in 1972, The Rise and the Fall of Ziggy Stardust and the Spiders from Mars, and Elvis Now. Seeing is Believing, a cut from the Elvis disc, was written by one Red West, who later played in Goodbye Solo, set in the city where I live. Also dwelling in this city is the woman I was dating when I attended a Bowie concert in 1987. She and I were fighting that night over how I can't be trusted because I'll do anything for adulation. She tore off a necklace I had given her and hurled it into the audience below. She shoved her way to the stage. There, she saw Bowie in the wings, just before the show's second half. He looked at her and smiled. I completed this last sentence on the evening of January 10th, 2016. When I woke the next morning, appeared in the New York Times this unintentional prose poem by writer John Pareles. David Bowie dies at 69. Star transcended music, art, and fashion. Aside from sex, was this androgynous man adept at 69? 69 symbolizes Bowie's various reversals. David Jones from South London morphs into ethereal Ziggy, who in turn transforms into Aladdin Sane, reasonable conjurer, and a lad who is insane. A red and blue lightning bolt splits Aladdin's melancholy face. Elvis's trademark is a bolt crowned by TCB, taking care of business. Bowie's death age is actually more than his death age. He is the Starman. I'm stepping through the door, and I'm floating in a most peculiar way, and the stars look very different today.
Of a worldwide epidemic.
Your doors of perception cleanse past 100,000 miles. These visions rare as Elvis sightings on an earth boring and botched. Pressed to your chair, you are never not channel surfing reruns in the thousands. Bowie wanted to meet anti-gravity Elvis, who wore zoot suits and eyeliner to barn dances. In '72, Bowie flew from London to New York to see the gaudy king in Madison Square Garden. He sat near the stage, his rooster calm, neon orange, ghostly pale was his face. The glam meat never came off. Liberace, whose twin also died at birth, encouraged Elvis's bling. Both musicians pined for their missing halves and abandoned themselves to living for two. Hence the emptiness, the excess. Had they met, Bowie would not have admitted cocaine, nor Elvis meth. I confess booze. Call my pain Gnostic. This darkling stretch can't be all there is. Call it a hole in the soul, unfillable in the sublunar. What makes one whole is past 100,000 miles. I was drunk at the Bowie concert where my date broke her chain. I've been drinking ever since. Corn liquor from an old fruit jar when I can get it. I'm heavy depressed, and I will do anything for praise. Elvis teetotaled. Robert Mitchum, who inspired the King's Quaff, did not. In Thunder Road, Mitchum hot rods Appalachian moonshine beyond the revenuer's reach. Springsteen borrowed the title. I heard him perform the song in Charlotte in 1985. First time I ever got loaded on Jim Beam and Sundrop, and I had no date. And I was a senior in high school and a football star and had bedded a doting sophomore. And since that time, I've been sad. The last number of Bowie before an audience was Changes. I watched the ripples change their size, but never leave the stream of warm impermanence, it goes. Elvis's final croon, my baby left me.